Welcome to WWE Discuss, where we break down the biggest moments, the boldest booking decisions, and the backstage drama that shapes the world of professional wrestling. What you are about to hear is a comprehensive analysis of one of the most controversial endings in recent Monday Night Raw history, a moment that sent shockwaves through the wrestling community and ignited fierce debate among fans, critics, and industry insiders alike. This is the story of a reveal that was supposed to be a climactic triumph but instead became a lightning rod for criticism, a tale of masked intrigue that culminated in confusion rather than clarity, and a backstage confrontation that may have been even more explosive than what viewers witnessed on their screens. Imagine, if you will, the final chaotic moments of Monday Night Raw as the main event reaches its crescendo and the energy inside the arena builds to a fever pitch. The audience is electric with anticipation because a storyline that has been carefully threaded through multiple weeks of programming is finally about to reach its dramatic conclusion. For several episodes leading up to this night, a mysterious masked figure has been interfering in pivotal matches, creating chaos and confusion while remaining shrouded in secrecy. The identity of this enigmatic individual has been the subject of endless speculation, fervent debate, and passionate theorizing across social media platforms and wrestling forums. The moment of truth has arrived, and what should have been a defining moment of revelation for World Wrestling Entertainment, a moment that would have fans leaping from their seats and flooding the internet with excitement, instead became something far more divisive and problematic. The masked individual finally tore away his disguise to reveal that he was none other than Austin Theory, a name that many fans had already predicted based on leaked information, backstage rumors, and narrative breadcrumbs that had been scattered throughout recent broadcasts. The impact of the reveal was immediate, but not in the way that creative minds backstage had likely envisioned. CM Punk, who had been directly affected by the masked figure's interference, immediately gave chase to confront the newly unmasked perpetrator. However, before any meaningful confrontation could take place and before CM Punk could extract answers or exact revenge, Bron Breakker stormed onto the scene with devastating intensity and delivered a thunderous spear that left Punk crumpled on the stage. This closing visual left the arena in a state of stunned disbelief and triggered an explosion of conversation, criticism, and analysis that would dominate wrestling discourse for days to come. This comprehensive breakdown will examine every layer of that controversial ending, dissecting the creative decisions that led to the reveal, analyzing the immediate fan reaction that ranged from disappointment to outrage, exploring the backstage tensions that reportedly erupted in the aftermath, and investigating the confrontation between Bron Breakker and Austin Theory that took place away from the cameras but has become a crucial part of the ongoing narrative. You are watching WWE Discuss, the channel dedicated to providing thorough analysis of the angles that drive professional wrestling storytelling, the booking decisions that shape championship reigns and career trajectories, and the backstage politics that often influence what we see on television in ways both subtle and profound. If you are searching for intelligent commentary, thoughtful predictions based on historical patterns and industry knowledge, and detailed coverage of the must-see moments that will be dissected and debated long after the broadcast ends, then you have found exactly the right destination. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an analysis, ring the notification bell so you are immediately alerted when new content drops, and settle in as we dive deep into the fallout from Monday Night Raw's ending that has left the wrestling world divided and demanding answers. World Wrestling Entertainment had been building this mystery with deliberate pacing over the course of several recent episodes, planting subtle clues through strategic interference in matches, providing well-timed assistance to heel-aligned competitors, and creating a puzzle that was designed to build anticipation and speculation among the audience. The effectiveness of this type of slow-burn storytelling angle depends almost entirely on the quality and impact of the eventual payoff. When executed with precision and creativity, such a reveal can elevate the unmasked performer to new heights of relevance and credibility, instantly transforming them into a major player in the ongoing narrative landscape. However, when executed poorly or when the execution fails to meet the expectations that have been carefully cultivated, the result can leave the audience feeling resentful, disappointed, and even betrayed by what they perceive as wasted time and squandered potential. As Monday Night Raw approached, the landscape of expectations had already been significantly shaped by leaked information that had found its way onto social media platforms, backstage rumors that were circulating through wrestling news outlets, and narrative cues that seemed to point in a specific direction. Austin Theory had emerged as one of the primary suspects in the speculation surrounding the masked figure's identity, making him a frontrunner in the predictions of many fans and analysts. The creative team's strategic calculation hinged entirely on whether the reveal would successfully land as a genuinely surprising elevation of an emerging talent or whether it would feel like an underwhelming confirmation of what a significant portion of the audience had already deduced through careful observation and insider information. The sequence that triggered all of this controversy unfolded during the closing segments of Monday Night Raw when Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul were engaged in their scheduled match. At a critical juncture in the contest, the masked figure struck with precision timing, delivering a lightning-fast stomp that dramatically shifted the momentum of the match and directly contributed to Logan Paul securing the victory. CM Punk, recognizing the interference for what it was and driven by weeks of frustration at being unable to catch this mysterious saboteur, immediately stormed toward the scene with the clear intention of finally confronting and unmasking the individual who had been causing such widespread chaos. The arena erupted as the chase began, with cameras following the pursuit as it moved through the crowd. It was amid this chaotic environment, surrounded by fans who were on their feet screaming and capturing the moment on their phones, that the masked figure finally stopped running and instead turned to face the cameras. With deliberate theatrical flair, the individual reached up and peeled away the disguise that had concealed his identity for weeks, revealing himself to be Austin Theory. The reaction in the arena was mixed at best, a combination of recognition, disappointment among those who had hoped for a more surprising reveal, and genuine excitement from fans who appreciated Theory getting this spotlight. However, the moment did not have the opportunity to breathe or to be properly processed because CM Punk's pursuit of the now identified assailant came to an abrupt and violent end when Bron Breakker burst onto the stage from an unexpected angle and delivered a devastating spear that left the veteran star sprawled across the floor. This powerful visual of Punk lying motionless while Breakker stood tall and Theory watched from the crowd became the final image of the broadcast, leaving the arena filled with a cacophony of boos, gasps, and confused murmurs as the show concluded on this note of violent chaos. The reaction from the wrestling community to this reveal and its immediate aftermath was decidedly mixed and in many quarters openly critical. A significant portion of the fanbase had already correctly predicted Austin Theory's involvement well before the official reveal took place, largely due to information that had leaked through various channels and prior storytelling beats that seemed to telegraph the direction creative was heading. Because of this widespread advance knowledge, the actual unmasking lacked the dramatic emotional impact and genuine shock value that would have made it a truly memorable moment in wrestling history. Critics and analysts were quick to point out numerous problems with the execution of the segment, including timing issues that made the sequence feel rushed and poorly coordinated, the way the reveal was packaged and presented which seemed to lack the gravitas such a moment deserved, and perhaps most significantly, the controversial decision to immediately follow the reveal with Breakker's politically and narratively charged spear. This spear effectively shut down any opportunity for immediate character development, explanation, or redemption that might have given Austin Theory the chance to establish his motivations and justify his actions to the audience. In summary, while the reveal certainly created substantial noise and generated conversation across social media platforms and wrestling websites, it failed to create the clean, forward-driving narrative momentum that World Wrestling Entertainment had almost certainly desired and anticipated when planning this angle. Multiple wrestling news outlets and commentary platforms characterized the finish as underwhelming and disappointing, with several prominent voices in the wrestling media landscape citing what they perceived as missed opportunities on multiple fronts. There was widespread agreement that the reveal failed to adequately build Austin Theory as a credible and threatening new player in the main event landscape, instead leaving him feeling like just another piece being moved around the board. Additionally, there was significant criticism of the decision to deny CM Punk the microphone time that fans desperately wanted, the opportunity for him to express his frustration, demand answers, and help the audience process what had just occurred through his legendary ability to cut compelling promos. The segment left viewers with questions, but not the intriguing kind of questions that drive engagement and anticipation, rather the frustrated kind of questions that come from feeling like a storyline has been handled clumsily and without proper consideration for audience investment. Austin Theory emerges from this controversial sequence as a heel performer with renewed relevance and visibility after a period where his position on the card had become somewhat uncertain. He is now aligned with the vision that Paul Heyman has been articulating and once again positioned on the main roster's radar as someone who could potentially factor into significant storylines moving forward. Bron Breakker, who is already established as a dominant physical presence and currently holds the World Heavyweight Championship in the ongoing storyline continuity, used this moment to send an unmistakable message to everyone watching, both in the arena and in the locker room. His violent intervention communicated a clear warning to anyone who might consider mocking his family lineage, disrespecting his championship reign, or dragging personal attacks into the sacred space of his ring. CM Punk, who was the primary target of both the masked figure's weeks of interference and Breakker's devastating spear, emerges from this situation as a sympathetic figure who has been repeatedly attacked and left looking vulnerable and exposed despite his legendary status and championship aspirations. Rey Mysterio, who was the immediate in-ring victim of the interference that led to this entire sequence, naturally becomes a sympathetic figure as well, a respected veteran who was denied a fair opportunity to compete. Meanwhile, Logan Paul maintains and arguably enhances his heel momentum by benefiting from the interference even if he did not directly orchestrate it, allowing him to claim victory through circumstances that will be forever tainted by the controversy surrounding them. These various character positions and the relationships between them establish a complex web of layered interpersonal conflict that will drive storylines heading into the next series of live shows and presumably factor significantly into the title match landscape as WWE moves into January and the Royal Rumble season begins in earnest. The segment that World Wrestling Entertainment chose to broadcast to its global audience concluded with that violent public statement in the form of Breaker's spear, but as is so often the case in professional wrestling, the drama frequently continues beyond what cameras capture for the official broadcast. According to detailed reports from those who were in attendance for the live event, recaps posted by journalists who have sources within the company, and accounts that emerged from backstage sources in the hours and days following the broadcast, Bron Breakker did not simply deliver his spear and then disappear into the night satisfied with the statement he had made. Instead, he reportedly followed up with a direct and confrontational backstage encounter specifically targeting the newly unmasked Austin Theory. This confrontation was described as being far from a cordial conversation or a friendly acknowledgement between fellow performers, but rather a tense and uncomfortable drawing of battle lines where expectations and consequences were clearly communicated. Breakker reportedly wanted direct answers about Theory's motivations and involvement in the interference, demanded accountability for actions that had affected his championship narrative, and made it abundantly clear to Theory that he needed to understand the serious cost and potential consequences of attacking his opponent in such a personal and disrespectful manner. These backstage confrontation beats that occur away from the television cameras are often the true engine that drives compelling wrestling storytelling, even if the general audience never sees them or only hears about them through secondhand reports. WWE strategically uses these moments to deepen and complicate character motivations in ways that feel organic rather than contrived, to create the kind of uncomfortable and tangible tension that makes eventual pay-per-view matches feel genuinely personal rather than just athletic exhibitions, and to build a sense that real stakes exist beyond simply winning or losing predetermined matches. The way that WWE chooses to portray and follow up on the post-reveal interaction between Bron Breakker and Austin Theory will have significant implications for how this entire angle is perceived and whether it ultimately succeeds or fails in its objectives. There are multiple viable creative approaches for staging the post-reveal confrontation between Breakker and Theory in a way that adds genuine heat and meaningful character development rather than cheap shock value that provides momentary attention but no lasting impact. One option, which we might call Option A, would be to have Breakker directly confront Theory in a segment that airs on camera, forcing him to explain his motivations and justify his actions while standing face-to-face with the intimidating champion. In this scenario, Theory would respond with a cocky and self-preserving justification that attempts to rationalize his behavior while also revealing key aspects of his character psychology. The friction and power dynamic visible in such an exchange would effectively establish Theory as a calculating opportunist who is willing to do absolutely anything for relevance, recognition, and advancement, even if it means attaching himself to more powerful figures and allowing himself to be used as a tool in their larger schemes. Another approach, which might be designated as Option B, would focus on Breakker physically dominating the exchange in a way that creates a powerful visual statement without necessarily requiring extensive dialogue.